Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Week 6, or up to the 6th challenge in our TILDA group. This week I have given you a no-sew project. So it can be a little bit of a break for you from hand sewing. It's to finish off our set. So we started off with a pin cushion. Then we made that beautiful bowl. Last week we made the zippy pouches. And this week we're making one of my Hexagon needle books, which can go in the set. Now, I designed this project January of last year, so 2019, on my other channel, which is Crafting a Life with Fee. That channel is more about my everyday life, but I was doing some free craft things over there in 2019, which was for gift giving. And I made my original ones out of vintage doilies, but I decided a couple of the ladies had actually made similar Hexagon needle books in the group. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I do that? And that can be the 4th item in the set for you ladies. Okay, so what we need to do first is we need to download this pattern sheet. On the pattern sheet, you'll have 2 different sized hexagons, and you'll just print them out onto normal paper. Now, I've made templates with mine. I've just used some overhead projector plastic to make a template. I couldn't find my template plastic, but all I did was just traced it on and then chopped it out. So that's pretty much a very easy process. So you will need to make yourself a template. You're also going to need some cardboard of some description. I've got this off a cat food box. You just need to use some sort of old cardboard. And then you'll also need a pair of paper scissors, a pair of fabric scissors. You are going to need a pencil. I'm just trying to reach everything else. I'll pop those out of the way for a moment. I like to use my clips. You'll also need some craft glue of some description. And now to the actual materials that you will need. So you will need a piece of fabric for the outside of your needle book, and I'm going to use one of my very treasured, very old TILDA rose fabrics. It's delightful and I love it, but that's the last piece I have of that. You're also going to need some felt in 2 different colours. So I've used this one here, which is going to be the lining of my needle book, and these ones here are for the pages of the needle book. You're also going to need some batting, just some scrap batting, and I haven't cut that one all the way through. You're going to need a piece of lace. It only needs to be about 1.5 inches in length, but the width is about the same, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in width. Then another piece of scrap lace and some ribbon. So that's what you need. Okay, so what we're going to do is, after you've made your templates, we're going to, from the small template, we're going to cut 2 pieces of felt. Now these are going to be, as I said, for the pages of your needle book. So you can cut those out and set them aside. Now with the big template, you need to cut 2 of some felt for your lining, 2 of quilt batting, just use scrap quilt batting. And then you need to do 2 in cardboard, so I thought I'd do these ones on screen with you. Sorry about that, I just realised I didn't have my glasses with me, and that is imperative because I can't see without them. Okay, so all you do is obviously just simply trace around your little template. You need to do that twice. Now you can use, as I said, I'm using a cat food box, but you can use cereal boxes, anything. Because I'm also a paper crafter, I use this channel for paper crafts as well. I don't throw away any of my packaging. I keep all my packaging. I just break it down so that it's nice and flat, but I pop it away because I often use recycled cardboard in my projects. And of course, it's very frugal because it's not costing you anything, and it's something that you would have thrown out anyway. Now, as I said, my original project that I did this in, I did use vintage doilies, and I don't have any left to show you because I gave some away, but I also do wholesale some of my goodies for some stores, and one of the stores took the last of them that I had last season, for last Christmas season. So I will be making lots more of these for this year. I've been collecting doilies again to do this, but yeah, they're a very cute, quick and easy project. They really are. And as I said, economical to make because a lot of the stuff that you're using is scraps, including your quilt batting and your bits of lace and ribbon. You don't need a lot of those things. You could, of course, put a stitchery on the front if you've got some orphan stitchery blocks instead of a doily, or even just doing it plain like I am this time. You could decorate it up with a bit of lace. Completely up to you. Okay, so what we're going to do first off, I'm going to get my glue bottle here happening. We're going to put some craft glue onto one side, oops, of our, I might chop that off for a moment. It's going to annoy me. Yep, just put some craft glue onto your 2 cardboard pieces, and then you're going to adhere your quilt batting. Now, if for some reason your quilt batting turns out to be a little bit too big for your cardboard, don't stress, you can trim it or you can just leave it there. And it will go down over the sides in a minute when we put the fabric on, but that's, as I said, that's up to you. Okay, I'm just going to set those aside for a moment just to give them a couple of minutes to dry. And you'll see that the quilt batting does tend to stretch a little bit over the cardboard. You can sort of meld it back into shape if you want. Okay, so then we're going to take our piece of fabric that we're going to use. We're going to turn it to the wrong side, and then we're going to use our template and we're going to draw our 2 pieces. Now make sure that you leave plenty of room around because we're going to need a seam allowance on these. So that's our first one. And I might go up to the other corner there, just so it leaves me a nice chunky bit in the middle. Okay, then we're going to take our fabric scissors and we're going to leave a seam allowance. So you can leave as much as you like. I'm leaving a very generous 1/4 inch. It's probably between 1/4 and 1/2 actually. Don't be skimpy on this because you need to be able to fold it under and onto your cardboard to attach it. So yeah, you want to make sure you're not being skimpy because yeah, you'll find it very difficult to stretch your fabric up over if you don't have enough seam allowance there. I'll just chop this other one. Now, I'm sorry if you can hear the traffic noises today. It seems that even though the state where I live in Australia is still very much in lockdown, there's lots more cars around this weekend than there has been. So, and my sewing studio is at the front of our house, and which is closest to the road. So we tend to get traffic noises. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do now is we are going to lay down our hexagon, so onto that trace line where you've got it there. Then we're going to take our glue. Now try not to put too much glue on because it will soak through the fabric. So just try and be a little bit frugal with it there. And then we're going to fold it over. Now that will adhere fairly quickly. If you're using a good craft glue, that will adhere, yeah, really quite quickly. So then we're going to go over to the opposite side and we're going to stretch it over the other side there. Now always do the opposite sides. That way you'll get the right tension. but you don't want to pull it so tight that you actually buckle your cardboard. You want it still to be flat on the table while you're doing it. That is really important. So you can see there I've got a nice tension, but it hasn't disfigured the cardboard in any way. And so then we're just going to work our way around. So as you do this side here, you're going to fold up your corner there. You're going to miter it as you would if you're quilting, doing a quilting corner, or if you made the zippy pouch last week, same sort of thing. You're just going to do a nice little fold. Now this is slightly a messy job because you are going to get a little bit of glue on your fingers. That's natural. Now if your glue isn't adhering as quickly as you would like, that is when you can use your clips. You can actually clip them down, and I might just clip down that little piece there. It's sort of sitting up a little bit, so I'll just give that a little bit of a helping hand, just to make sure. So I'll just go ahead now and do both pieces off camera so I don't bore you, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, there we go. There's our two pieces, our front and our back. Okay, so at this point you could decorate the front if you wanted to. For instance, you could run a piece of lace directly over one side there, which I actually think I might do. So all you have to do is to glue it down, really. I'll just measure that there like so. And I might just pop a couple of little dabs. I'll try and be very careful with the glue. You just want teeny tiny bits, because we don't want to soak it. So I think I'll lay it down there like that. And then we'll turn it over to the other side, and this is where we can be a little bit more liberal with our glue. I like to paint the glue up over what I'm gluing down as well, just to make sure it's nice and adhered. And I also use a baby wipe. It's a little bit of a hint for you too. Have a little baby wipe alongside to get all those little bits of glue off your fingers so you don't spread it over your work. There you go. Okay, so that's going to be the front of my needlebook, and that's going to be my back. So it's going to work like so. So what you need to do now is to do that, get it the way that you want it, and then you need to flip it open like a clamshell. So what we're going to do now is form a hinge. And to make the hinge, we're going to be using this piece of lace. And as you can see, it needs to be less width than the side of your hexagon. So you just need to find a piece that's going to fit the bill. I don't know, just cut it to however long you want it. I like to have a fairly short hinge, so I'm going to move them fairly close together like so. I'm going to run my layer of glue along on both sides. And then I'm going to put my hinge down. And then you just need to let that adhere. So you can use a clip if you want to keep it in place, or you can just use your fingers for a few seconds and hopefully not have your glue stick to your fingers like mine is. I'm going to use the tips of my, there we go, tip of my scissors there. And we'll just let that adhere a little bit for a few seconds. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get our ribbon and we're going to make our closure. So I like to use seam binding. It's one of my favourite ribbons because I love the crinkled vintage look. So you just need to measure, I'll turn it onto the side in a minute so that you can get a better view. So we'll just keep pressing that down, just make sure that we're getting it nice and adhered there. Maybe use the palm of your hand as well, because essentially that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to form this hinge here like that. Okay, so we've got to make sure they're lined up. I think that's pretty much it here. Okay, so I've got some little pieces of ribbon. I might have cut that one a bit short. Let me find my end again. Okay, so we're going to just cut them. Let me measure that in centimetres for you. That's about 24 centimetres. So I'm going to gosh, I'm all thumbs. Cut another piece. That doesn't look like 24 centimetres. Maybe my little ruler thing down here isn't correct. Anyway, so we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to make sure that it's glued on the inside. So we're going to pop a dab of glue on either side of our hexagon there. And then we're just going to lay our ribbon down. Now, if you're a sewer, you'd be familiar with the hiding of ties on the inside of your sewing. So this is a similar concept. We're just hiding it on the inside so that when it comes time to tie it closed, those ribbons are adhered really well inside, but they're also in the right spot. Next thing we're going to do is take our felt pieces and we're going to adhere those on the inside there. Now, that is the exact fit of the template, and I just like to just take off a teeny tiny whisper. Just a little whisper of felt, just so that it's not the exact same size, because we just want it to be just fractionally smaller. And by the time you take off this teeny tiny off all sides, then you will have it fractionally smaller. So you can see there that I've just taken off the tiniest of margins. And it's pretty easy to straight cut the sides by eye. Now, of course, as always, these would go much faster if you're going to batch make them. Of course, you can get all your gluing done at once, get all your mess over and done with, and it would be much simpler. Okay, so now we're going to pop some glue on to about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge. I'm going to do this on both sides. Now, if you're using a thin felt, I'm using a wool blend, so mine's not so bad. But if you're using a thinnish type felt, do not put too much glue down, because it will moisten and work its way through, and you don't want to be able to see your glue. The idea is so that you're actually hiding all your work under. But if your glue comes through, it's going to look pretty shabby, so just be very mindful of that. Okay. There we go. So now, of course, if you were doing these off camera, not like me, I'm doing it with you on camera, I would then set that aside to dry. Give that a bit of a drying time. But for the purposes of the video, we are now going to push ahead. So we're now going to pop our sheet in, and we're just going to run a tiny bit of glue, a few little dabs of glue just on one side of the hexagon, and then we're going to glue that on the hinge side along there, like that. And we're going to do the same on the opposite side. Now, to dress up the inside of your needle book, you can then run some lace along there if you wish to dress it up, make it look really pretty. Not sure if I have enough lace of this one left. Let me cut it in half and see. I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough here. I have, look at that. So I'll just do the same thing, run a bit of glue along there. Spread it out. So these are a lovely accompaniment, aren't they, to your sewing set? What a beautiful gift for someone. I noticed some of the ladies have been making them for gifts, making sets to give away. Beautiful. Beautiful idea. Okay, I'm just going to trim up the sides of that, just because it's looking a bit raw. Still gluing down. Anyway, I'm just going to pop a bit of cardboard in there so I can close it, just so I can show you. I just don't want them to stick together. So this is how you do it up. You close it up here at the edge with a little bow. I've got glue all over my fingers, so I won't bother. You could, of course, put a Suffolk puff on the front. You could put another smaller hexagon on the front. You could put a stitchery on the front. But there you have it. You have a beautiful hinge there so that you are able to open and close your beautiful little needle book. You've got your little pages here that have been adhered. You stick your needles in. Very simple project. I hope you've enjoyed making it with me today. I'll catch you next time. Bye.